So thank you all for joining us today for the Everything You Need to Know About Academic Options After Your Bachelor's Degree workshop. Joining us today is Elizabeth Jost, the Associate Director of Admissions, who is going to discuss graduate school and professional degrees and how to prepare for graduate school during your undergraduate career. With that, we are going to get started. Elizabeth, if you could just go ahead and introduce yourself and then we can get started. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So thanks, Jasmine. Yeah, I'm Elizabeth Jost. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions at the Graduate College. So I basically oversee like our front office team and our recruitment and admissions team. So, if you choose to apply to graduate school at UNLV, you will probably engage with me or a member of my team. We're going to talk to you today about just academic options after your bachelor's degree. We're going to talk about a couple things. First, I'm just going to kind of go over the differences between graduate and professional degrees. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about why you should even go to grad school and consider this option. And then I'm going to discuss uh, why you should go to grad school at UNLV. So some of you may be considering other options and things like that. So I'm going to talk about, all the benefits that you get by going to graduate school at UNLV. And then we're going to talk about, some elements of the application. We're going to talk about funding options and just other services that my team provides to help walk you through this whole process. So I'll be watching the chat, and if you have questions, I can definitely address those, but we can also talk at the end of the session. I'm happy to answer any of your questions when I'm done presenting. So first and foremost, what is graduate and professional school? So grad professional degrees are advanced courses of study that focus on a specific field, discipline, and or career. So, in your undergraduate work, you're while you're majoring in a specific field, a lot of the education that you're getting is very broad. It's going to cover the gamut of the profession, of the discipline. Whereas graduate degrees are going to get more specific, kind of the higher you go up the chain of degrees. So what I wanted to tell you the differences about is that a master's degree is usually still a little more generalist, but it's focused on career, discipline, and oriented skills. And there's lots of different types of ways you can get your master's degree. You can get a master's of arts, master's of science, and some master's degrees are going to be like heavily research focused, and you'll be, doing your culminating experience, as it calls, is with a thesis. But there's other ways to earn a master's degree through doing competency exams or doing a project or a professional paper at the end of your experience. So there's usually, it's not just a thesis anymore. There's lots of ways to earn the master's degree. Some just require coursework in the finalization of like a capstone class or something like that. Now, doctoral degrees are a lot more heavily research focused. It's designed to create new knowledge or fill in gaps in current knowledge in an industry or field. So when you're producing a dissertation at the end of your PhD or your EDD, you are contributing to new knowledge in that field. You're doing research like with a faculty mentor, you may have a team, you may be doing lab work, things like that. So it's definitely a lot more focused than the master's degree. And then you've got professional degrees, which are almost entirely focused on training for a specific career, like a law degree or a med degree. And some of our other professional programs at UNLV are like we have a doctor of physical therapy, and then our occupational therapy degree where you're going on to work in a specific profession that requires this specific degree to do that profession. So that's kind of the differences there. Just a little more on that is, the difference between grad and professional is a matter of emphasis. I kind of already said that, but you're going to be training for a specific career with, a professional degree. But that doesn't mean a graduate degree doesn't offer career training and a professional degree doesn't require research. They both require those things, but one is kind of more heavily focused on one than the other. So why should you consider grad school, doing a master's or a doctoral or a professional degree? Well, a lot of it is about upward mobility, job opportunities, and things like that. So, first and foremost, holding a graduate and professional degree sets you out from the crowd. Only 13.1% of working professionals in the United States have a graduate or professional degree. Um, Graduate and professional degree holders enjoy lower overall unemployment rates, and they also have higher lifetime earnings. So, while having a bachelor's degree is really great, getting that next credential, like a graduate degree, can earn you an additional $620,000 in lifetime earnings. Depending on the career, it can be a lot more. But you also earn transferable success skills that are going to help you in your jobs, in your lives, in your hobbies, or organizations you're a part of, or things you're passionate about, like research, discipline, leadership, communication, perseverance, all these skills that you're going to need to get through your program. You're going to develop these through your education and the different workshops that grad college provides and things like that. And it, once again, it's going to make you more marketable, help you have more mobility, be more agile in the workplace, and just make you be able to take control of your future. So here we've just got some actual statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So this is just data that backs up my claim that people with higher graduate degrees or professional degrees do enjoy a lower unemployment rate, and it kind of drops the higher the degree that you earn. And then they also enjoy greater median incomes. So this is a weekly earnings breakdown from BLS that shows it just kind of matches, right? So the higher you go up, the larger your weekly earnings will potentially be. And then this is just a 10-year projection from 2016 to 2026 from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that shows kind of the expected job growth in the various in these various industries, so you can kind of plan ahead and see, like, wow, if I'm interested in healthcare, I can expect there to be upwards of 25,000 jobs over the next 10 years. So this is a really great resource to have to kind of see where this job growth is happening in industries, and it kind of they assess it on a 10-year basis. So education is big right now: counseling, law, healthcare, mental health, physical therapists, instructional coordinators. So this is just kind of a really good way to see where that job growth is going to be happening. So hopefully you're all going to decide to go to grad school, and you might be considering academic options elsewhere, but I'm going to talk to you about why you should continue to do your graduate work at UNLV. So first and foremost, you may have seen these kinds of rankings before, but we're considered an R1 research institution by the Carnegie Classification of Institutions of Higher Education. We enjoy that classification with only 131 such universities in the United States. So you're going to get a degree from a rigorous research university. You're going to have those skills that other of your peers in top research schools are earning through their educations. We have more than 185 graduate degree and certificate programs, including more than 40 doctoral and professional programs. So chances are we're going to have something that sparks your interest, something that you want to study, something that you're passionate about. We can help direct you to programs based on your interests and things like that. So there's a lot of diversity, a lot of choice at UNLV. Additionally, we are proudly the most diverse university in the country, according to U.S. News and World Reports. So that means in your classes, you're going to be working with individuals from different backgrounds, different experiences, and that's going to influence and elevate your education at UNLV. So we're very proud of that, and you'll continue on experiencing that through graduate work at UNLV. We also have the amazing Professional Development Academy, the Grad Academy, which all of you are participating in our Grad Rebel Advantage program right now. But all those amazing services that you're experiencing as an undergrad continue and expand as a grad student. So you will have the benefit of accessing all our free certificate programs. We have free certificate programs in research, mentorship, teaching, that can just give you another credential to put on your resume, dedicated and niche training that can help you in your various career and research aspirations. We host over 60 workshops a year for grad students specifically, anywhere from academic kind of support, writing support, and then like wellness and stress management, time management, all the things that a grad student needs in their tool belt to be successful. We do interview practice workshops, resume building workshops. So it's anywhere from career development, academic support to then also your own personal wellness support. So we've got it all at the graduate college. And then we also have our community engagement classification from the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching. And we share that with only 119 universities in the US. So we're out there in the community. We're participating in the important things that are happening in our state, in our region, and in our nation. So we're out there doing the work, and you'll have the opportunity to participate in all types of exciting things at UNLV. We also have a bunch of this information on our website, which I've got linked here in the presentation. So check it out to kind of dive deeper into these kinds of things. So just more things that you may have already experienced as an undergrad. You're going to continue to experience that in grad. You're going to learn from nationally and internationally recognized faculty in highly ranked programs. You can partner and intern with local employers, and I've got our excellent career services department linked here, so you'll continue to enjoy the benefits and workshops that they do at the career services department to help you look for jobs, make yourself employable, resume workshops, interview skills workshops, things like that. You'll have the ability to work and study in cutting edge labs, research centers, and libraries. I have linked our campus virtual tour assets here. Like I know, most of your UNLV students, so have experienced some of our facilities on campus. But if you want to check this website out, it's here for you. You can also have a lot more flexibility for afternoon and evening classes. A lot of grad classes are scheduled in the evenings, sometimes even the weekends, to accommodate people's work schedules and things like that. And we also have fully online programs, which may be something that you're looking for as well. So, and usually, even if it's not a fully online program, a lot of programs have hybrid kind of situations where some of their classes are online, some of them are face-to-face, and then there's full face-to-face programs. I'm going to talk a little bit more about graduate assistantships in a little bit, but you can gain hands-on experience by working as a teaching or a research assistant at UNLV and get funding for your education, and also work in your fields and learn from faculty and staff and get networking opportunities and employment opportunities through graduate assistantships. And you can develop great relationships with our faculty and classmates. And I've just linked these different resources for you here, and we can send out the presentation after the session. So while you're thinking about all this, you may have a program in mind that you're thinking about, but you might need a little guidance. You might be deciding between a couple, or you might not know at all what you might want to do with a graduate degree. So we've just got a couple of tips, a couple of things to think about to kind of help you make that decision. So how do you select a program, right? So we have so many programs at UNLV, and the questions you need to ask yourself are really just kind of simple. So you're going to start with the outcome. Like, what kind of career do you want? What do you want to be doing? And sometimes you're going to need a really specific degree for that career, like mental health counseling, for example. You're going to need a degree that leads to licensure. But if it's something like, you want to work in higher education like me, there's a lot of different degrees that can influence that or help you be upwardly mobile in higher education. We've got, actual higher education degrees. I got my degree in urban leadership, so there's more wiggle room there. Um, Something you also want to think about and can be a little freeing is that you can think beyond your bachelor's degree. So some people go straight ahead and finish and continue through their undergraduate field. They get a social work bachelor's degree and they go on and do a social work master's degree. But others do something completely different in graduate school. So you don't have to be tied necessarily to what you did in undergrad. Sometimes it is important, like in the sciences or engineering or things like that, where you do kind of need that specific background. But there's also ways to kind of deal with that if you don't have the specific coursework available in your undergraduate degree. You can take prereq courses or things like that while you're a grad student. And sometimes there's alternate paths to admission, which can be or sure described in usually the catalog entry of the programs that you're looking at. So another, good way to think about choosing a program is to research various fields and reach out to professionals in those fields. So what fields complement your skill sets? Who do you know that works in those fields? And lastly, schedule a meeting with us. So you can talk to us at gradrecruitment@unlv.edu, or you can call us at 702-895-4543, and we can help you have these conversations. We can pull up programs. We can actually dive deep into the requirements and give you some options and kind of talk you through this decision. So just some more information about this is like, with grad school, you're researching and applying to programs rather than schools. So each university kind of has a different system. Some are centralized, some are decentralized. So if you're interested in business, you're going to be looking at MBA programs at different universities. You're going to see what the requirements are. You're going to see if they have online options or non-online options based on your needs. So every university is going to have a different kind of application system. And then you can also start narrowing down your interests on your programs early. If you're not sure where to start, you can go to petersons.com. They're a national body that collects information from universities every year, highly detailed information about programs, faculty staff ratio, cost of living, all these kinds of things. We have to fill out this survey every year. So if you have like something super specific you're looking for, there's all kinds of filters to go through on petersons.com, and that can really help you out. Talk to your faculty or the department or the program before you go ahead and pay an application fee. You can talk to those faculty members that are inspiring to you or classes that you are enjoying and see if something in that field is something that you can see yourself doing. And then lastly, you want to look at the application requirements. There's certain, um, certain programs are going to require different things. Like I was saying, like a degree in the sciences or engineering are going to say, well, we need this kind of coursework, we need this kind of GPA. Sometimes it'll require a standardized test. So knowing those kinds of things ahead of time, knowing what you're willing and able to do, knowing what might be a barrier for you is kind of half the battle to applying to a program. And then lastly, once you're getting closer to this decision, deadlines are important. So in graduate school, at least at UNLV, each program sets the deadline. So every program has a different deadline, and they might admit in the fall and spring and summer, or they might only admit in the fall. So it's good to know what the deadline for the program you're interested in is, so you can plan ahead, so you can study for these tests, so you can prepare a great personal statement, so you can get your letters of recommendation lined up. So just knowing what is required of you ahead of the time is going to set you up for success. So we just kind of broke that timeline down a little more for you here. So, you know, usually people start thinking about graduate school about a year out. If you're closer, if your timeline's a little shorter than that, that's okay. But you want to start thinking about programs, understanding what might be required of you on a larger scale, like internships or shadowing or research or things like that. And then 6 to 12 months before the application deadline, you want to start maybe looking into schools and programs that you're interested in. At UNLV, each graduate program has what's called a graduate coordinator, and that is a faculty member who is kind of the admissions and current student representative for that program, wherein they can talk to you about the program. They then review applicants and make decisions, either with a committee or something like that. And then they also assist the students through their life cycle as a student. So completing their coursework, setting up their research, working on their thesis or dissertation. So it's always a good idea to reach out to the grad coordinator program, especially if you have really specific questions. And then if your program requires a standardized test like the GRE, the GMAT, the LSAT, the MCAT, you want to start thinking about what you need to do to study for those exams and get those scheduled. Everyone prepares for standardized tests differently. There's tons of free materials out there that you can use. And some people are successful with a shorter study time frame. Some need a little longer. So just understanding yourself as a standardized test taker and getting all that prep work done. Sometimes it can take 6 to 12 months before you go ahead and apply. 3 to 6 months before the application deadline, you want to start working on those writing samples, those statements of intent. You want to reach out to your letter writers. One of the hardest things for letters writers is to be asked last minute to write you a letter of recommendation if they have to get something in for you on a deadline or things like that. So it's always good to give them a nice cushion of time. And then, 1 to 3 months before the deadline, you might be sitting for a standardized test. You're going to be working on your resume. You're going to be going ahead and submitting those materials. And then, 1 to 2 weeks before the deadline, if you haven't submitted your application, you probably should. And then, give yourself time to get any final needed materials and troubleshoot any problems that might arise. Okay, so that's just some tips on like preparing an application, but I wanted to give you all a couple more specific resources because you're all UNLV students. So first of all, you can all use the UNLV Writing Center. So if you are working on that writing sample or working on that personal statement, one of the major things that they do is they read and help you prepare and edit and fine-tune personal statements. So please use that resource. We've got it linked here. And then Career Services has an excellent career handbook that can show you how to write cover letters and resumes. And it can show you also the difference between a resume and like a curriculum vitae. I used it to write my resume for grad school. So I've linked that here for you. You can also work with the Office of Undergraduate Research to beef up your research skills. Sometimes, programs are going to be looking for those kinds of things. They have a Research Skills Academy, and they have other competitions and workshops and things that you can participate in. So everything that they do looks great on a grad school application, so I would encourage you to check it out. And then we've got, our UNLV libraries here. So they've got free test prep resources that you can check out at the library. And they have subject librarians that can help you narrow down your research or things like that if you are having to like put together like a writing sample or a research paper or something like that for the application. So just remember that there's all these resources on campus that are free that you can use to prepare a good grad school application. Additionally, there's us over here at the Grad College. So even though I'm, giving you a presentation today about kind of what to expect and what to think about. We're here for you through the whole application process. So I've linked our calendar here. We have stuff happening every week. We have most of our workshops are virtual right now, but we do have in-person events. We might be having some more come up soon. But we kind of have a standard cycle of workshops that help you prepare for grad school. So Grad School 101 is part of this presentation is in Grad School 101, where we talk about what grad school is, why you should do it at UNLV. But we also have a pretty lengthy segment on paying for grad school. So we dive deep into grad assistance and scholarships and FAFSA and all those things, a way you can defray the cost of going to grad school. And then we have Grad School Applications 201, which kind of goes over like the nuts and bolts of application materials. So we talk about the personal statement. We talk to you about tips and tricks for responding to a prompt, length of personal statements, how to write a personal statement. We talk about the resume and how to build a good resume for the program you're applying to. We talk about letters of recommendation and how to reach out, when to reach out, like just kind of stuff I touched on a little earlier. And we talk about standardized tests as well. So all those elements that may or may not be in the admission materials that are required for an application. We also have unstructured drop-in sessions. So those are on our calendar as well. So those are more like you can show up, you can ask us questions, you can leave, you don't have to stay for the whole time. It's more just an hour that we have on Wednesdays where you can come in and just get your questions answered, and we do those virtually and in person, so whatever you're most comfortable with. We also participate in campus-wide fairs and tabling events. So if you are checking out UNLV's Career Fair, for example, or the Academic Resource Fair, you'll probably see us at a table there. So please come talk to us. That's what we're there for. And we also do department-specific events. So sometimes we will be presenting and talking about a specific program. So for example, the MBA programs partner with us all semester, and you can see those department-specific events on our calendar. So once you're ready to go, I just wanted to make sure you had these tools in your tool belt. Basically, once you're ready to go and apply, you do have to create an application in our application portal, which is called the Grad Rebel Gateway. And we've got that linked here for you, or you can Google Grad Rebel Gateway. Our application system is different from undergrads, so make sure you're applying in the correct system. This is also linked all over our website. And this is where you're kind of going to do everything you need to do to apply. You'll be able to upload your documents, you'll be able to read any important instructions, apply for grad assistance, and this will be the system of engagement all through your life cycle as a grad student. So you'll eventually use this site to submit forms, apply for graduation, all that good stuff that you need to do as a current grad student. And then you do have to pay an application fee to submit your application. So it's $60 for domestic students and $95 for international applicants. And then, you'll be able to upload personal statements, resumes. Your letter writers will be able to submit letters on your behalf. And I've linked that deadline page link one more time because you have to get all that stuff in by the deadline. So make sure you're paying attention to that, and it's just that important. So that's why I've linked it twice. A few things to know is that you do have to have a bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited institution. So I know a lot of you are in the middle of your bachelor's degrees right now. So basically your degree has to be conferred before you would start grad school. So you might be in the middle of grad school but interested in psychology, who has a really early deadline of December 1st. But you're like, well, my bachelor's degree is not going to be done. You just have to be done before school starts in August. So your degree would have to be conferred by summer 22. So you just have to provide your most recent transcripts while your bachelor's degrees are in progress. And then we will then contact you and make sure your degree gets conferred and that you've met all the requirements. We do have a 2.75 overall minimum GPA. That's required, but we also look at your last 60 credits. So if you're under 275, um, if we calculate your last 60 credits, so like your most recent 2 years of education, you have a 3.0, you're still going to meet those requirements. Now, if you are under those minimum requirements, you can still be considered for graduate school. It's not an immediate cutoff or things like that. We employ holistic admissions at UNLV. So, the program, there's a reason the program asks for all these things like personal statements, letters of rec, et cetera, because they're going to do a whole file review of your credentials. So if you do receive admission and your GPA is below that, they can have the option to admit you provisionally if they so choose. So that is a status of admission wherein you would take about 9 credits of graduate work, and if you get a B or better, you can remain in the program. So if you're ever concerned about your GPA or your particular situation, just reach out to my team and we can look at your record and we can talk to you about it and give you some tips for how to present a good application. If you are an international student or happen to have gotten your credentials outside of the United States, you may have to provide what's called a foreign credential evaluation. And that's an evaluation done by an outside organization that basically verifies your credentials on a US scale. So they're going to be making sure it's equivalent to a bachelor's degree in the United States, and then they'll do the GPA calculation for us based on their experts and country research and materials and assets that they have. So you might have to do that, but we can talk to you about that if you have any questions. And like I said before, each program is going to then have their own admission requirements, like write examples, personal statements, whatever. And when you go ahead and create your application, those kinds of items will dynamically load in the application. So you'll be able to see your checklist and able to upload and put in the information that you need. I've linked our future students page, which explains all of this in greatly more detail, which you can select here on the presentation and check it out. So once again, just reiterating common elements of the application that you may or may not have to provide: tests, transcripts, personal statements, letters of recommendation. So everybody has to provide their transcripts, but if you're a UNLV student, we can likely pull it from the system. So a lot of you won't be having to track down transcripts or things like that. But if you do have outside work, that you may have to provide unofficial transcripts for those in the application. And we do not require an official transcript until unless you're admitted, and then we'll let you know what we need and we'll communicate with you. Just a few notes on paying for grad school, because the tuition for grad school is going to be higher than undergrad tuition. We want to make sure you just know what's available for you. Preparing to pay for grad school is just as much as an important kind of subject than preparing an application. So we have these resources for you as well. So at UNLV, this is, goes right up there with perks of attending UNLV. We have generous funding opportunities. So we employ over 1,000 graduate assistants every year. We talk a little bit about more about what grad assistants are and what they do in our 101 workshops. But basically, you would work for a department for 20 hours a week. And in turn, you would get full tuition coverage. If you happen to be an out-of-state student, that GA waives out-of-state tuition. And then depending on if you're in a master's or a PhD program, and depending on the program, you additionally get an annual stipend between $11,000 and $20,000. So you'll get a stipend on top of your tuition coverage. And then you do enjoy registration fee reduction, summer tuition benefits, but we also cover 100% of the student health insurance. And that's a big charge, every year. So we go ahead and cover that if you are a GA with us. So if you're planning on applying to UNLV, you can apply to GAs in your academic departments, the departments that you're applying to, but there's also tons of non-academic GAs out there. So for example, I employ people here at the graduate college on the recruitment team. The student union employs GAs, the foundation, the rec center. So go ahead and throw your hat in the ring for those kinds of things. But if you are looking for a GA, there's a lot of opportunities on campus. In addition to GAs, we give out $5.7 million in awards every year. So what those are new and current student scholarships, fellowship opportunities, and awards for research, academics, teaching, community service, and more. So you can find all of those scholarships and eligibility requirements on our website. Scholarship applications open on October 1st every year and close on December 1st. So depending on when you get admitted, that'll kind of dictate your application window. But check those out. There's all kinds of different scholarships. There's all kinds of different eligibility requirements. So you should definitely see what you're eligible for to get scholarship monies. We also are constantly having competitions and opportunities for awards. And a lot of that is messaged out on campus through your Rebel Mail. So make sure you're keeping that Rebel Mail active as a graduate student and you're checking it often because we will message out to you all those kinds of cool opportunities. And, if you are thinking about leaving Vegas, remember that we do have a low cost of living and tuition rates compared to our regional competitors. So, and it's also, a lot of you probably are Nevada residents, so you're going to experience the Nevada residency tuition rate. And if you're not, if you're coming from out of state, we have a lot of great varied residency options at UNLV. Lots of different ways to gain Nevada residency and experience those different tuition rates. I did want to talk about the FAFSA. You can apply for federal funded student loans for graduate school. We encourage you to fill out the FAFSA even if you do not plan on taking out student loans. That's because grants that are dispersed to students usually require a FAFSA. And the UNLV Graduate College, we have $1 million in access grants every year, and sometimes you have to have a FAFSA on file to be eligible. So even if you don't plan to take out loans, please go ahead and still fill out your FAFSA every year while you're in school. If you're not eligible for the FAFSA, you can fill out the alternate need form here, which can make you eligible for other funds that might be coming through UNLV. So there's that option as well. Depending on your eligibility and things like that and the number of credits you're enrolled in. So if you're taking out loans now for undergrad, you can defer those student loan payments while you're in grad school because you won't have to pay for those student loans while you're going to grad school. So you can defer those loans. There's also a ton of external funding out there. So our Division of Research and Economic Development does have a database of funding resources you can check out that's based on discipline that are like external scholarships that aren't sponsored by UNLV. And then there's a ton out there that's just based on your own research. There's no really great organized database for these kinds of things. UNLV's Division of Research and Economic Development has done a really great job of creating this database of resources, so it's linked for you here. But there's also going to be stuff out there that's not on there. So don't be afraid to apply for funding. Throw your name in the hat. You might get, little bits of money here and there, and that can really add up and help. So research companies, organizations that maybe are offering funding, make sure they're reputable and legitimate. And helping and knowing the organization can maybe help craft your application or your statement of purpose. So, and there might be scholarships through places of employment or other like organizations or student orgs you might be a part of or national or regional organizations. All these kinds of places have scholarships. So check it out. There's still tons of external funding out there.
Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to stop you. I actually noticed there were two questions in the chat, and they both are regarding funding. So the first question was from Rachel. She was wondering if you could elaborate more on what a fellowship opportunity is.
Okay, yeah. So a fellowship is basically it's kind of like a GA but without a work requirement. So we have a STEM fellowship, for example, where you're basically just participating in a research project or something like that that doesn't have a research requirement. So we're basically funding your education while you're out there doing your job and doing all the wonderful things of contributing to the discipline. And what I would encourage you to do is to go on our financial website and read about the different fellowships there because all of them are kind of different. But the one kind of unifying thing is that they don't require you to work like those 20 hours a week like a GA would.
Perfect. The other question is from Tracy. It reads, in looking at the graduate school application timeline you shared earlier, I noticed that there wasn't a point on the slide that listed when would be a good time to look into funding. At what point during that 1 year timeline would be an appropriate time to start researching funding and scholarships? And is it something that is program dependent?
It's, all the answers are yes, I guess. So, it's never too early to start looking into funding, but um, sometimes you can wait till you get that admission decision because a lot of like scholarships and things like that out there will require you to be in a program, right? So that's usually how things are a little different with scholarships. But FAFSA, you should file early. So if you've ever filed a FAFSA before your start, you'll get an email with the account that you created showing when the new year is, and I think the priority deadline is November 1st. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I can get you that information. So that's definitely something you can do early because the application is kind of bureaucratic. So if you want to go ahead and get that out of the way so you don't have to worry about it anymore. But you can definitely wait till you get that admission decision letter to start thinking about scholarships, particularly um, because you usually have to be in a program. And then graduate assistantships, you can apply for those right in the app. So you'll be doing like GA applications kind of like at the same time you're applying. So that's a big way that a lot of students fund their education. So about a fifth of our students are on a GA of some sort. So I would go ahead and do that at the time of the application. You can always get into the Grad Rebel Gateway and apply to them later. But some departments make pretty early decisions, so getting those in and submitted is usually a good idea. So I hope that answers your question.
Tracy says, thank you.
Yeah.
And then there was another question that was just posted in the chat. Fitsum was wondering, will you post the slides for this presentation somewhere to access them?
Yeah, absolutely. I can provide the slides to you all, and you can distribute them however you please.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So lastly, I just wanted to show you all that even though you're participating in Grad Rebel Advantage, you're getting all these resources, we have a whole dedicated recruitment and admissions team here at UNLV to help you through this process. So if you reach out to us, you're likely going to be talking to one of my GAs here. They are current graduate students who are currently experiencing this whole graduate school thing, and they are here to answer your questions, to tell you what it's like, to help you pick programs. They run some of our workshops and things like that. And this is, once you actually apply, you'll probably, speak to one, me, Lori, or Matt, who works on the applications and, helps solve problems and adjudicate different things. So this is where you can find us at UNLV. So here's our email and phone number, but we're also open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We are located at the University Gateway building. We're across the street from main campus, so kind of catty corner from the In and Out. If you come up to the second floor, you will see our office right in front of you. You can come in. You can speak with one of us. We take walk-ins all the time. And you can also come check out our wonderful Grad Commons, which is available to grad students here at UNLV. We have a computer lab and study spaces and group workspaces here. And it's really quiet and nice and lots of natural light, and it's very beautiful. So please come check us out. Please come visit us. We are happy to talk to you and see you. We're open 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. So that kind of concludes my presentation. I am hoping that it was helpful to you and that we will see your applications here at UNLV in the future.
Looks like we have a couple more questions in the chat if you want to check them
Okay.
out, Liz. And then I'm also going to post the link to the Google Slides that you used in this presentation. That way you guys can just have access right now.
Oh, cool. All right. So,
I can answer Dylan's question. So Dylan, the recording is going to be posted on the Graduate College YouTube site. Okay, guys, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask them now. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is post in the chat a feedback survey. It's a link to a feedback survey. It's very helpful if you guys could fill that out for us so that we can get some feedback about this workshop. Dylan, I believe the channel is called UNLV Graduate College.
yeah, I usually just search Grad College, UNLV Grad College YouTube, and I can usually find it.
Perfect. So if there are no other questions, before we end today's session, I'd just like to thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing your time and expertise with us today. And also a big thank you to our participants for joining us. Before you guys all log off, just please take a few minutes to fill out the workshop feedback survey that I just dropped in the chat.
Yeah, and like I said, my team's always available if you want to have like a one-on-one conversation. If there's, questions you have that you don't want to ask in a group setting like this, we take appointments all the time, or you can come just walk right in and we will be happy to talk to you.
Okay, with that, let's close it out then. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.